and the original color may have been lost. But the original color is already in there. In this way, our day to day, the moods keep changing. The moods keep changing. This is how the example of the printing should be kept in there. Now I'll give you one simple story to explain this point. I might have told you earlier. If you're hearing for the second time, please bear it. Now, once upon a time, there were three friends, very young boys, maybe around 20 to 25. And the three boys, one of them was a prince, the other one was the son of a minister, the third was the son of a treasurer. So they decided that let's visit the neighboring kingdom. So they went to the neighboring kingdom. And as they were touring in the kingdom, they found three attractive girls. They got attracted. The prince got attracted to the princess. The minister's son got attracted to the minister's daughter. And the treasurer's son got attracted to the treasurer's daughter. In this way, they fell in love with each other. And as the time went on, they decided to marry each other. So they got married. So they lived like, though they went as boys, they all became husbands. But while this affair was going on, the king of that neighboring kingdom was not there, and he returned. And when he returned, the king found his daughter looking very different. Because when a girl gets married, she automatically becomes a very happy woman. And in our Vedic culture, the look of a married woman is very different. She puts a bindi. Bindi means a red dot here. And she puts some sindoor. Sindoor is some powder, the red powder here in the parting of the hair. And she looked very beautiful. So the king asked the princess, what's happened to you? Well, how come you look so different? And she explained everything. And the king heard everything. And then the princess also said, it's not only me who got married. Even the minister's daughter got married. Even the treasurer's daughter got married. In this way, we three friends got married with those three friends, three boys and three girls. And the king listened to it very nicely. And in the end, the king said, everything is okay, but you made one mistake. He said, what is the mistake we made? He said, you could have waited for me. Why did you wait for me? Now, because of this, I'm going to punish each of your husbands. So he punished the husbands by putting them in the jail. Now, when they were put in the jail, the prince was tied with a golden chain. The minister's son was tied with a silver chain. And the treasurer's son was tied with a metal chain, iron chain. None of them is free. Everyone is bound. So as you read this chapter, you find that though mode of goodness seems to be the best, is better than the mode of passion and ignorance, still even in the mode of goodness, there are some deficiencies. And we have to overcome, because bhakti or Krishna consciousness is beyond goodness. It's not in the mode of goodness. But to practice Krishna consciousness, we have to remain minimum in the mode of goodness, by which we can practice our Krishna consciousness very nicely. So mode of goodness is the minimum what we need to practice. Because mode of goodness is superior to other modes, because it is enlightening, it brings you happiness, your senses can gather knowledge, and so on. Now the mode of goodness also has a defect. The defect is that mode of goodness brings you a lot of happiness. And sometimes people in the happy state of mind or in a happy mood, they can forget Krishna and make some blunder in their life by losing sense control. Too much happiness is not good. It's dangerous. That's why the mode of goodness is not considered to be very pure. Like in the society, earlier in the 4th chapter, Krishna said that Chatur Varnam Maya Shishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasham. That I have created a human society in which there are 4 kinds of people: Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Sudras. Now, those are the mode of passion, mode of goodness. Those who are mostly in the mode of goodness are the Brahmanas. Mostly in the mode of passion are the Kshatriyas. In the mixed mode of passion and ignorance are the Vaishyas. And the Sudras are in the mode of ignorance. Of course, this is for the general mass of society, not for the devotees. But anyway, it's good to have this knowledge so you can understand the mode of a person. So 2 examples I've given you, one of the printing and the other one is the story. Now, Krishna says that this knowledge which I'm going to give you is far superior till what I have explained to you now. Now you'll find that in Bhagavad Gita, it has 18 chapters, 666. The first 6 chapters are considered Karma Yoga. The middle 6 chapters are Bhakti Yoga. And the final 6 chapters, we are already in the final 6 chapters, it's called Jnana Yoga. So the middle 6 chapters are very important. But other chapters are meant to give you knowledge which remains a supplement in your devotional service. So Krishna says that this knowledge which I am giving you is by far superior. And many sages have understood this knowledge and have perfected these lives. Even we can perfect our lives if we understand these 3 modes of nature. You'll find that many times we do things and we are not happy. And we realize that I did not perform this activity properly because I was not in a good mood. Or sometimes you may say, oh, I was not in the right mood. In this way, we become experienced. And by knowledge, as given in this 14th chapter, we realize how much our mood is changing. And the perfection of even our daily activities is very much dependent on which mood we are. I'll give you one simple example. It's a real example. Once one lady, a very rich lady, she ordered an equipment and the equipment was brought to the house and she was a learned woman. She opened the box. The whole equipment was in pieces. That means you have to read the manual and try to join it to make it a full machine. She tried to she put the whole equipment, the pieces on the table, and she started working how to join it. And she could not join it. So she became tired. So she left the house and she went away. And when she returned after 2 hours, maybe she was bored of it or tired of it, she found the machine was already complete and working. She asked the maid, who joined these pieces and who made it work? The maid said, me. He says, but you are an uneducated woman. How did you do it? And the uneducated woman gave a very surprising answer. She said, when the brains don't work, then the hands can work. It means though you have a good brain, a lot of education, but you do not know how to fit what. For me, by seeing the joints and everything, I just fitted it. So you'll find that sometimes we are so much in the mode of passion that we spoil things. Or sometimes we are in the mode of goodness, we can even spoil things. And sometimes we are in the mode of ignorance, we don't understand what is going on. So none of the modes are nice, but it's good to know all the modes, each one of them, by which you will get a perfection in your life. Now, earlier in the 2nd chapter, Krishna tells Arjuna that rise above the three modes. He had already said this in the second chapter. I can give you the verse number, exact verse number. Krishna tells Arjuna in the second chapter. Let me give the verse number. Now, if you go to verse number 45, chapter 2, can someone read it? 2:45. Anybody has got a Bhagavad Gita in the hand? Path Prabhu, you can read 2:45.
Yes, Prabhuji, I got. I read the text or translation.
Yeah, the translation.
Yeah. Chapter 2, text number 45. The Vedas deals mainly with the subject of the three modes of material nature. O Arjuna, become transcendental to these three modes, be free from all dualities and from all anxieties for again and safety, and be established in the self.
Yes. So Krishna had already told in the second chapter. Krishna told Arjuna to transcend the three modes of nature. Now, when you read Prabhupada's books, Prabhupada uses these words, transcendental knowledge or transcendence. What does the word transcendental knowledge mean? Transcendental knowledge means any knowledge which is beyond the three modes of nature. It's called transcendental knowledge. For example, Bhagavad Gita is transcendental. The chanting of the holy name, the Hare Krishna mantra, is transcendental sound. Then anything related to Krishna is all transcendental. Krishna himself is transcendental. Devotional service or Krishna consciousness is also transcendental. So Krishna is telling Arjuna in this particular verse that rise above the three modes of nature, and in this way, as become transcendental three modes, be free from the dualities and all anxieties for gain and safety, and become established in the self. In other words, understand your constitutional position. If you understand your constitutional position, then actually we are all transcendental. But because we have come to this material world and we have this material body, we become entangled. But by understanding this chapter thoroughly, you will get a way out of coming out of these three modes of nature. At least you'll have the brain to come out and stay out of these three modes and become free from the three modes. See, that's why in this particular chapter, Srila Prabhupada is making a point that the saints have understood this knowledge and perfected their lives. So one who understands this chapter will attain perfection. So this chapter you have to read very scrutinizingly, and if possible, make a chart. What happens in the mode of goodness, what happens in the mode of passion, and what happens in the mode of ignorance. Categorize it properly. Knowledge in the three modes, food in the three modes, how we act in three modes. So many things will be explained in this chapter. So if you know this chapter, it will bring you a lot of happiness, a lot of joy, and you'll enjoy this chapter. Very, very interesting chapter. So these are the points Srila Prabhupada makes. So we can make out that why this chapter is important, because we all go through these three modes every day of our life. All of us. None of us can claim that I have transcended the three modes of nature. No. You will stay in the three modes of nature, but the day you will become a pure devotee, you will transcend these three modes of nature. Because at the end of this chapter, Arjuna asks three questions. What is the symptoms of a person who is transcendent three modes of nature? How can one transcend it? These are some of the questions asked towards the end of this chapter. So when you are reading this chapter, you have to try to memorize the knowledge which is within this chapter, so that you can remember this chapter thoroughly. And if you're nice, fertile brain, then what will happen? You'll understand properly. I can give you the three questions. If you go to the verse number 21 of the same chapter, I'll read the three questions of Arjuna. The first question is, my dear Lord, by which symptoms is one known who is transcendental to the three modes? Number two, what is his behavior? Number three is, how does one transcend the modes of nature? So Krishna, in order to summarize this chapter, he will answer these questions in the verses to come. So anyway, the important part of this particular chapter is that we should try to understand this chapter thoroughly, the way Krishna is explaining to Arjuna. Krishna is giving this knowledge so nicely that anyone can understand. That's why Sri Prabhupada wanted all of us to understand Bhagavad Gita very, very nicely, so that we understand this subject matter thoroughly and we do not become cheated by our different moods. You'll find that one of the questions does get answered in this chapter is why we wake up very early in the morning, why we perform devotional service early in the morning. This is the reason, because in the early morning, the mode of goodness is there. And as soon as the sun goes up, the mode of goodness goes up. Right? There's more mode of passion and ignorance in the daytime. But before the sunrise, there is a predominance of mode of goodness. This will be realized as you read the chapter. You find that understanding these three modes is very, very important. In other words, you'll be able to diagnose yourself in which mode you are and why you are not making progress in devotional service. This chapter will answer. Or if you're making a quick progress, what is the cause is also explained here. And if you're not making any progress, or if you are lagging behind, why you are lagging behind will also be answered by this chapter. So this chapter will give you behavior, symptoms, effects, everything related to the three modes of nature. So you should remember the three words. Goodness means sattvagun. More of passion means rajagun. More of ignorance means tamagun. These three modes and the Sanskrit words should be memorized so that you do not forget and don't make a mistake of mixing them up. Sattvagun, Rajasgun, Tamasgun. In English, we say more of goodness, more of passion, and more of ignorance. All is explained in this particular chapter. That's why Krishna himself is saying that I shall declare to you this supreme wisdom, the best of all knowledge, knowing which all the sages have attained the supreme perfection. That means in the past, many sages attained this perfection. And Krishna wants also Arjuna to attain this perfection so that you can practice your devotional service nicely. Hare Krishna. If you have any questions, you can ask.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. You are giving this knowledge about the three modes of nature, the mode of goodness, mode of passion, and mode of ignorance. How a person, like you are giving the example of morning time, how we are in ignorance when we are in a bed, and when we're getting up, then how it is passion, then when we come to the temple hall, how it is turned into the mood of a goodness. So nice, Prabhuji. I open this platform to everyone Please, you have any doubt or any question, please ask. But Prabhuji, I think you giving us example, this sometimes the mood of a goodness also not good for the devotional service. Can you please explain?
Yeah. Now, that is answered in the verses. Let me give you the exact verse number.
Correct?
It is said, even in the mode of goodness, from the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. And as you say, go further, you'd find that even in the mode of goodness, you're bonded by happiness. That is the defect. So mode of goodness is not good, but mode of devotional service, so Krishna consciousness is good because it is not in the mode of goodness. What happens in mode of goodness? We become very knowledgeable. We become very happy. And there is a danger that we can give up Krishna consciousness, or we can forget Krishna. Because too much happiness is not good. So one should transcend the mode of goodness also. But the minimum mode of goodness, one should try to stay in, which is favorable for devotional service. Otherwise, even to absorb knowledge is not easy. So in the mode of goodness, you can absorb knowledge very quickly. Okay, Pathu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah. So you understood the danger of mode of goodness.
Yeah, danger, yeah. When we are too much happiness in the mood of a
For
goodness, then we
example,
forget Krishna.
mode of goodness, the bondage is happiness. Mode of passion, the bondage is desire and hankering. Mode of ignorance is sleep and dreaming. So each three modes as a bondage. So to try to come out of the bondage from all the three modes, each one of them, try to go above it. Okay, any other question?
Please, you can ask any question.
May I ask a question, Prabhuji?
Yes, yes, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, devotee.
Correct.
Prabhuji, I want to just ask. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, if my line is not good, I'm sorry, it's because I'm driving. Prabhuji, my question is, what does it mean by not progressing in devotional service? What does that, what are the symptoms and what does it mean?
Okay, when you are not progressing devotional services means you do not feel like performing devotional service, you don't feel like chanting, you don't feel like hearing, you become too emotional, too attached to your body, it means you are not progressing. You are slow.
Okay.
That's why if you understand this chapter, at least you will know where you are wrong.
Okay,
And of course, it may differ from a devotee or from a person to person. So it's better if you think, or if one thinks that one is lagging behind, one should always contact a devotee who is senior or superior to you, who can explain to you
okay,
where you are making a mistake, why you are slow. Prabhupada says, if you attend the morning program, you'll always make a progress. Morning program consists of waking up early morning, attending Mangalati, chanting your rounds, hearing your Srimad Bhagavatam, and eating Krishna Prasad. These activities actually foster your devotional service. Is that okay, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Okay, good question.
Prabhuji, one doubt is that you're telling this coming to the Mangala Aarti and morning program is a mood of a goodness. And you
Pure,
usually...
not goodness, it's pure goodness.
Yeah, pure goodness. Okay. Yeah, good. Okay, Prabhuji, what about the evening program? The evening time is the mood of ignorance, but evening Aarti and evening program, what is supposed to do?
There's a big significance of even attending the evening program. Morning program is compulsory. The evening, you may be preaching, you may be doing cooking, you may be visiting and people and speaking about Krishna consciousness. But even evening, one must come and see the deity. Must. If you go to Srimad Bhagavatam, everybody knows the story of Diti and Aditi. I think everybody knows, no?
Yes, yes, yeah.
They're the wives of Kashyap Muni. And we find that Diti approaching Kashyap Muni in the evening time. And Kashyap Muni says this is not the right time for conception. Because at that time, I think I had explained earlier in the class earlier that there's an influence of Lord Shiva who tours around the world. And his third eye is open, and anyone who commits sinful activities, especially when the sun is setting, you get a very heavy reaction. And that is the reaction Diti got. And that's why she became the mother of two demons, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. That's why in every Vedic temple, even in the most Hindu temple also, they keep arati in the evening, so that we do not become attracted by those modes and we do not commit sinful activities. So in our temples, in our ISKCON temples, we always keep Gaura Arati at that time. We sing Gaura Arati, we glorify Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and in most temples, after that, there is a Bhagavad Gita class, after the Arati, so that we do not fall in the trap of the mode of ignorance, or we don't fall into the trap of committing sinful activities. Is okay?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Yeah. At least also in all the Hindu family, they are doing the arti. Even they are not coming to the temple, they are at least arti, do the arti and the lamp.
Yes, it is okay.
In their altar at his home.
Yes, Prabhupada says that even if they are not Krishna conscious, they may be even demigod worshippers, but still they have to worship their demigods even in the evening. Because not everyone can become Krishna conscious. And not everyone is all that fortunate. If there are people who are worshipping demigods, they still have to be attending arti or performing some puja, something at that particular time. Very, very important. Okay?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you. Is there any other question? Hare Krishna, please unmute and you can ask.
Prabhuji, can I ask another question? I'm really sorry.
No, yes, go ahead.
Prabhuji, when we were young, I hope it's not the controversial question, Prabhuji, but when we were young, we used to do Om Jagadi Shehare Aarti quite a lot.
Yes,
but I don't hear that Aarti. Normally when I attend talks or attend, the morning program on YouTube, if I'm tuning into Delhi, could you please tell me why we don't do, because that's Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna's prayer, isn't it? Thank you.
Yes, it's a nice question, and I'll give you the answer. You and I, in our younger days, we would sing that arati in our homes, or even at the temples. In most Hindu temples, we sing that arati. But if you study the words, Sri Prabhupada comments that there is a mistake in those arati. He says, Sukha sampati ghar aave, dukkha mite tanaka. It means, let the happiness come to my house and let the miseries of my body go away. Now this we can't ask Krishna to do that. That is not devotion service. That's why we don't sing this arati in our temple. In our ISKCON temples, we don't sing this particular arati, Om Jai Jagadishara. Though the arati sounds good, but there are some defective words in that. Whoever is written has been written not by a devotee. That's why Sri Prabhupada did not want us to sing that arati. Instead, we sing Gaura Arati. And if you don't know Gaura Arati, then if you just sing Mahamantra, it is sufficient. Is it okay, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, it makes a lot of sense. I've understood now, Prabhuji.
Yeah, if you hear that arati, you mark that particular line. I'll sing that line for you. It says, Sukha sampati ghara aave, dukha mite tanaka. This line is not appropriate. Because we are demanding Krishna something which is on a bodily platform. Krishna is meant to be served on a very high devotional platform. We can't demand material items from Krishna. That is called materialistic way of worshipping Krishna, which Sri Prabhupada did not accept. Okay? Good question. It's good you asked so that others who have heard the answer, they can make out.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you very much.
Okay. Any other question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. If there is no question, I will just ask one question more. So for the devotional service, or we are coming to the Krishna consciousness, we are supposed to be mood of a goodness, or we supposed to be like in a text number 25, 45 in a chapter 245 is telling the transcendental stage. It means
transcend the three modes.
Yeah, transcendental to the three modes. It means we are come to the above of these three modes.
Yes, the devotional service of Krishna Bhakti is beyond the three modes.
Or beyond the three modes. Yeah.
It is beyond the three modes. For example, chanting Hare Krishna is beyond three modes. Worshipping the deity like Radha Krishna or Lakshmi Narayana or Sita Ram, this is all beyond the three modes. We are not worshipping demigods. We are worshipping Lord Vishnu directly. So the worship itself is transcendental. The chant is transcendental. Srimad Bhagavatam is beyond the three modes of nature. Though all the Vedas take you three modes, but Srimad Bhagavatam is pure, very pure. And so is Bhagavad Gita. So anything done in devotional service or in Krishna consciousness is beyond the three modes of nature. And even we are not in modes of three modes of nature. Sorry, we are not transcended three modes of nature. But the process we are following is beyond the three modes of nature. The process is
Yeah. Thank you.
So that process eventually or gradually will make us transcend the three modes.
Good, very nice. Yeah, it is a very nice thing. So, we are not, maybe many defects we have, and we are not
We all have defects.
Defects.
No one can say that I'm perfect. No one.
Yes. Yeah.
But the process is so pure. If we simply follow the process, then we'll become pure.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Maybe I have no mood. Yes, Prabhuji.
Prabhupada gives one example. Before you speak further, Prabhupada gives the example of the moon. You know moon?
Yeah.
If you see the moon on a Purnima, the moon is very big. But it has marks on it. Have you seen marks on the moon?
Yes.
Now, but if you see the moonshine, it has no marks. Moonshine is pure.
Yes, yes.
So the example of the moon should be kept. That though the moon has many dark spots on it, but the moonshine is pure. So we're all defective. We are not very pure.
Yes.
Though some of us devotees may be very pure. Even if you say me, I will not say I'm very pure. I know I have some defects, but I have full faith that in due course I'll become pure. Because I have kept the process. If I follow the process, I'll become pure. That is for sure. Yeah, so you're asking something else?
Yes, Prabhuji. It means like it's very nice understanding. Like we have many defects, and also unknowingly we are doing some service for God. For example, we are doing some service. We are forcefully coming to the RT. We are forcefully coming to the Zoom class. We are forcefully reading something, lecture, or telling Harikatha. By forcefully, it will also be helpful for us. It is the beyond of mood of nature.
Yes. It may be forced, it may be even voluntarily you are coming, but because you are engaged in this service, it will keep you purified.
Okay.
It will purify you, and a time will come when you become fully purified.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Yes.
So before that comes, you have to make sure we become completely purified. So Krishna is very merciful. Krishna is very kind that he has given us time for purification. Krishna consciousness or bhakti is a purifying process. It purifies everyone. So we have to have the faith in the process itself. If you go to the 9th chapter, if you go to the verse number 3, it says, Ashraddha dhana purusha dharma ashyata parantapa aprapya mam nivartante mrityu samsara vartamani. Krishna tells Arjuna that those who don't have faith in devotional service will return to the path of birth and death. That's why even a simple devotional service, you should do it with a lot of faith. For example, when you're chanting, you have to chant with a lot of faith. That's why we advise everyone that when you're chanting, don't talk, you chant. When you're hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, hear attentively. When you're taking darshan, take very nicely, attentively. So more attentive you are in all your processes, you'll overcome the three modes of nature. And you'll transcend the three modes of nature and come to the platform which is called also Vasudeva Tattva. A mode which is beyond the three modes of nature is called Suddha Sattva or Vasudeva Tattva. The meaning is the same. Okay?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Prabhuji, for your wonderful class, also giving the nice answers of our doubts, questions. So I request all devotees, please unmute yourself and chant Hare Krishna mantra for glorification of His grace, Rukma Prabhuji. Please unmute yourself and join. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Rama
Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanavebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namo. Prabhupada ki jai. Jai.